What if the most powerful thing you could say was absolutely nothing? Silence isn't weakness, it isn't surrender, it's strategy, it's strength, and it's the one thing she never expected. She thought you'd chase, that you'd fall apart, that you'd spiral into desperate texts, late-night calls, and emotional outbursts. She thought you'd try to win her back, to prove your worth through pain, because that's what she's seen before. Men begging, apologizing for things they didn't do, sacrificing their dignity just to be seen. And for a second, maybe even you thought you would. But then something inside you snapped, not in rage, but in clarity. You saw through the illusion. You realized that no amount of chasing fixes the truth. She made her choice. And now, so have you. You chose silence. Not to hurt her, not to play games, but because you finally understood the value of your presence, and you stopped handing it out to someone who didn't earn it. Silence is not emptiness, it's power concentrated. It's the sacred space where men rebuild, where pain gets repurposed into purpose. When you went quiet, she felt it. Not immediately, but eventually. Because silence lingers in ways noise never can. It's not just what you stopped saying, it's everything you stopped doing. You stopped validating. You stopped reacting. You stopped making her the center of your peace. That's when the dynamic shifted. She expected a weak man to crumble. But what she got was a man transforming in the dark, quietly, relentlessly, stoically. She wanted to be chased because she thought she was the prize. But your silence told a different story. A story where you were the one who got away. A story where she lost access to a man evolving into something colder, stronger, untouchable. And let's be real, the silence hurt her more than your words ever could, because words can be argued, but silence? Silence forces self-reflection. It makes her sit with the weight of her own decisions. That's why it's the ultimate move. Not out of revenge, but out of respect. For yourself. You're not running after anyone who walked away like your love was replaceable. You're not negotiating your value anymore. You're not breaking just because she thought she could break you. You chose peace. You chose control. You chose to rise from the fire instead of burn in it. This is the art of dark detachment, of radical emotional discipline, of becoming a man who doesn't flinch, doesn't chase, doesn't fold. You don't beg, you don't bargain, you become. And from this moment on, every second of your silence speaks louder than any apology, any explanation, any "I miss you" text ever could. If you're done explaining yourself to someone who never cared to understand, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I no longer beg to be chosen. Now let's begin. Number 1, she thought you'd break. She thought she had you figured out. Thought you'd chase like the rest. That your pride was just noise, and when she pulled away, you'd collapse under the silence. She counted on your need for her to outweigh your self-respect. That's the game. Pull away, wait for the panic, feed off the reaction. She believed she could control the narrative with absence, that you'd fall apart, break routine, start chasing shadows just to feel seen again. But you didn't. You did the unthinkable. You disappeared from her radar, not with drama, not with a tantrum, but with cold, calculated stillness. Because here's the truth. A man in control of his emotions terrifies someone who plays with them for validation. She expected noise. You gave her distance. She expected chaos. You gave her calm. She wanted to see you unhinged, because that would have meant she still mattered. But you didn't flinch. You didn't chase. You didn't fold. And that's when it hit her. She didn't break you. She revealed you. She revealed a man she can no longer reach. The mask you wore, the agreeable, forgiving, emotionally available version of you, it's gone. You stopped bleeding for people who watched you suffer and called it strength. You stopped explaining yourself to someone who already made up her mind. Now she's sitting in silence, wondering why you haven't called, why you haven't begged, why your name holds more power now that it's gone. She thought you'd break, but you broke the pattern instead. If you're done being predictable, if you're done dancing for someone who doesn't clap for you, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, I choose silence over self-betrayal. Number 2. Emotional sobriety. No reaction is the ultimate reaction. She thought silence meant you were hurting, that you were just waiting for the right moment to explode. But emotional sobriety isn't silence rooted in pain, it's silence rooted in power. When you don't react, you're not pretending you don't care. You're proving you've mastered yourself. That's what Stoicism is. Not the absence of feeling, but the control of it, the restraint, the discipline. She wanted to pull your strings, to get you to crack, to lash out, to act out. That would have given her the validation she wanted. She needed to know she still had access to your emotions, but instead you gave her nothing, and that nothing hit different. It's a kind of control that speaks louder than any argument. You didn't chase, you didn't explain, you didn't post a passive-aggressive story trying to flex or fake healing. You just stopped showing up emotionally, not out of spite, but because you understood the truth. Not every action deserves a reaction. Not every insult requires a clapback. Not every disrespect deserves your energy. When you become emotionally sober, you stop being pulled around by triggers. You see the game and you opt out. That's when you stop being the puppet. That's when you become the one pulling the strings of your own life. You feel the pain, but you don't act on it. You hold the storm, but you don't unleash it. That's silence she gets from you. That's not confusion, that's clarity. It's the clarity that comes from no longer trying to fix someone who was never confused, just careless. No reaction is the ultimate reaction because it makes them sit with their own behavior, without your emotional energy to distract them from it. If you're done being emotionally hijacked, done giving people reactions they haven't earned, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, my silence is my strength. Number 3. Dark detachment, the death of neediness. Let's call it what it is. Neediness kills attraction. And she could smell it on you. Every time you over-explained, over-apologized, over-invested, every time you made her the center of your peace, she lost a little more respect. That's the part no one wants to say out loud. When you put her on a pedestal, you shrink yourself. You become too available, too accessible, too predictable. And in the game of attraction, familiarity doesn't breed connection. It breeds contempt. But then, something changed. You stopped needing her to validate you. You stopped orbiting her world. You pulled back, not to manipulate, but to reclaim your energy. That's dark detachment. It's not pretending you don't care. It's no longer caring more than you should. It's cutting off the emotional credit line to someone who kept making withdrawals and never paid you back in loyalty, consistency, or respect. You learned something deadly. The less you need, the more powerful you become. You started feeding your mind, not her ego. Building yourself up, not chasing someone who enjoyed watching you break. That shift, that's when things got real, because now she's not dealing with the same man. She's dealing with the version of you who's detached, not cold, just clear. Clear on what you'll tolerate, clear on what you bring, clear on who you are with or without her. Neediness dies the moment you remember your worth. And when it does, so does her control. If you're done chasing validation and starving for approval, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, I am enough without their attention. Number 4. The cold flame. Why indifference hurts more than anger. Anger she could handle. Anger means you still care. It means you're still emotionally invested, still plugged into her energy. It means she still has power. But indifference is lethal. Indifference says, "You're not even on my radar anymore." It's the cold flame. It doesn't burn bright. It burns deep, quiet, slow, permanent. She expected you to lash out, to call her out, to post cryptic messages hoping she'd read between the lines, because that would have told her she still mattered, that she still had influence over your mood, your day, your peace. But when you didn't react, when you didn't even blink, her ego took the hit she was trying to avoid, because nothing bruises the ego more than realizing the person you thought you controlled just doesn't care anymore. See, when you respond with anger, you give her a role in your story, you make her relevant. But when you respond with nothing, you turn the page, you write her out. And that's what stings. That's what keeps her up at night. It's not the fight you didn't have. It's the closure she never got. It's realizing she wasn't even worth a goodbye. That's what Stoic men understand. Not everything needs closure. Not everything deserves a reaction. Sometimes the best revenge is moving on so quietly, she has to wonder if she ever mattered at all. Anger is easy. Indifference is earned. If you're done giving emotional access to people who only came to drain you, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, "My indifference is my freedom." Number 5. Value reversal. From chaser to the prize. At first, you chased. You texted first. You waited on replies. You made plans, broke plans, bent yourself into someone else just to keep her attention. You were giving effort like love was a transaction, and she just had to see your worth to finally appreciate it. But the truth is, value isn't something you prove, it's something you are. And the moment you realized that, the game changed. You stopped chasing and started attracting. You stopped explaining and started evolving. That's value reversal. You flipped the script. She was the one who thought she had options, thought you'd always be there. But when you walked, really walked, she lost her comfort. See, when you chase, you lower your perceived value. But when you pull back, not out of spite, but out of self-worth, you instantly become rare. And what's rare becomes desirable. Women don't chase effort, they chase presence, aura, mystery. A man who isn't scrambling for approval is magnetic. He's unpredictable, and that unpredictability makes her wonder what happened. Why you stopped calling, why your energy vanished, why you're suddenly untouchable. That's the moment she starts checking your socials, asking around, watching your stories, quietly hoping for a sign you still care. Because now you're the prize. The man who walks away without needing to explain himself is the man she can't forget. If you're done proving your worth and ready to stand in it, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, "I am the prize." Number 6. The scar she didn't see. Private growth is loud in silence. While she thought you were sulking, you were building, quietly, relentlessly. No posts, no pity parties, just progress. The scar she left, it didn't destroy you, it motivated you. Because pain can do two things, make you bitter or make you better. You chose better. That's what separates a boy from a man. Boys chase closure, men chase growth. And here's the part she didn't see coming. You didn't need to announce your comeback. You became your comeback. You leveled up in silence. New mindset, new routine, new standards. You didn't try to show her what she lost. You became someone who doesn't even look back. And that silence, that detachment, it screams louder than any revenge ever could. You started investing in yourself instead of someone who couldn't see your value. You started hitting the gym, mastering your craft, stacking your wins. While she scrolled, looking for attention, you were locking in, creating distance not just physically, but spiritually. You became unavailable to the version of you that used to settle, and now she sees it. She may never say it out loud, but trust. She knows she doesn't have access to you anymore. That growth, it speaks, not in words, but in your energy. Your silence tells her, I don't need to be loud. My success will echo. If you're done being haunted by what broke you and ready to rebuild in silence, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My growth speaks for itself. Number 7. The return that never comes. Why you don't go back. She's expecting the cycle, the apology, the I've been thinking about you message, the weak return, because that's what she's used to. Men who leave but always come back. Men who confuse attachment with love. But you broke the cycle. You left and meant it. Not because you're bitter, but because you're done. Closure doesn't come from her. It comes from the moment you decide you no longer need to reopen a chapter that already showed you everything you needed to know. Going back. That's not strength. That's self-betrayal. You already saw the truth. You already lived the pain. There's nothing new waiting for you there. Just the same patterns in a different disguise. She might test the waters again. A like. A hey stranger. A story reply. But it's not about you. It's about her ego. She wants to know if the door's still cracked open. Don't even answer. Not because you're playing games, but because you're not playing at all anymore. She chose distance. You chose dignity. And now you don't owe her a revisit to something that broke you just to prove you've healed. Your life moved forward. Your mindset leveled up. Your energy's too expensive for a return trip to who you used to be. She had her chance. She fumbled it. And now her memory doesn't live in your inbox. It lives in your silence. If you're done revisiting old wounds that disguise themselves as second chances, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I do not go back to what I've outgrown. Number 8. Social alchemy. When others start noticing. You went ghost. You went silent. But behind the scenes, you were changing, elevating, sharpening. And now, people feel it. Not because you bragged, not because you announced it, but because true energy doesn't need a microphone. Your absence created presence. That's social alchemy, when the version of you that disappeared returns upgraded and the world starts paying attention. Suddenly, people who overlooked you start looking again. They notice the discipline, the glow-up, the sharper mind, the way you walk into a room like you own your peace now. They don't know what happened. They just know you're different, calmer, colder, focused. You don't chase conversations anymore. You attract them. You don't force respect anymore. You command it. Even she notices. She may never say it, but the curiosity is eating at her. Why is he so quiet? Why does he seem so unbothered? Who's he talking to now? Because now your silence isn't emptiness. It's mystery. You became rare. And in a world full of noise, rare is priceless. This is what happens when you detach. The world starts reacting to the man who no longer reacts to it. That's when people start treating you how you've always deserved, but only now demand. And the best part? You're not doing it for them. You're doing it despite them. If you're done being overlooked and ready to let your silence make the noise, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My glow-up needs no announcement. Number 9. Unbothered is unmatched. Peace is the new power. She wanted to get under your skin, to spark jealousy, to make you react, because emotional chaos was her weapon, and once upon a time, It worked, but not anymore. Now you're unbothered. And that kind of calm, that kind of stoic, detached peace, it's unmatched. She posts thirst traps, hoping you'll bite. You don't. She tries to trigger you with someone new. You don't flinch. She throws subtle jabs through mutuals, waiting for the clap back. It never comes, not because you didn't notice, but because you've evolved past the need to entertain anything that costs your peace. You finally get it. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your energy. Peace isn't passive. It's active discipline. It's the power to choose where your mind goes, and more importantly, where it doesn't. You've trained yourself to respond with silence, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You know your time is currency, and some people are just too cheap for the investment. And the truth is, nothing shakes someone like watching the person they tried to break become immune. You don't need to block her. You don't need to speak on it. You don't even need to look her way, because peace isn't about pretending not to care. It's about actually not caring. That's why it hits harder. That's why it lingers. Unbothered is the final form. It's not loud. It's not petty. It's just untouchable. If you're done letting chaos rent space in your mind, hit that like button. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My peace is my power. Number 10. The silent legacy. You became the one that got away. She thought you were temporary, just another chapter, a moment. Someone who'd always orbit around her, waiting for a green light that was never coming. But now she's realizing you were the story, the one who changed her, even if she won't admit it, the one who left without slamming the door. No drama, no begging, just gone, quietly, for good. You didn't need revenge. You didn't need to prove anything. You just became everything she never thought you would, the one that got away. Not because you died, but because you outgrew her, because you chose yourself, because you rose in silence while she stayed addicted to noise. That's the legacy. The man who doesn't chase, doesn't fold, doesn't explain. The man who didn't just heal, he leveled up. And now her memory of you isn't filled with arguments or chaos. It's filled with questions. Why did he stop trying? Does he even think about me? Was I ever really that important? She'll never say it, but deep down, she knows she fumbled something real. Not because you told her, but because your silence showed her. You didn't need closure. You didn't need revenge. You just needed distance. And now that distance has become your power. You became the one she can't replace, the one she can't figure out, the one who vanished and never looked back. That's what happens when a man chooses silence, discipline, and peace over desperation. You're not just a memory, you're a standard now. If you're done being a lesson and ready to be the legacy, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I am the one they never forget. So here we are, full circle. She expected you to chase, to crumble, to prove your worth through pain. But instead, you chose silence. You chose discipline. You chose yourself. And that choice? That's what changed everything. This isn't about bitterness. This isn't about revenge. This is about evolution. The moment you stopped reacting, you became untouchable. The moment you stopped chasing, you became the standard. And the moment you let go of what disrespected your peace, you became dangerous. Not because you're cruel, but because you're calm. And calm men don't get played. They get respected. They get remembered. They get missed. She may never say it out loud. She may never admit it. But trust, your silence echoes in places your words never could. She felt the loss. She felt the shift. And long after the games fade and the attention dies, you'll still be there. Not in her life, but in her mind, as the one she underestimated, the one who rose in silence, the one she'll never get back. So now the choice is yours. Stay silent, stay grounded, stay unshakable. And when the world tries to pull you back into chaos, remember, the loudest message is the one you never send. If you're done being a passenger in your own story and ready to walk in full power, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, "I've outgrown the noise." This is Stoic Blessing. Stay solid, stay silent, stay sovereign.